what's going on, America? It's the crazy, angry black guy again. Of course, I've been away for quite some time. I hope all y'all have been well out there. There's a lot of crazy things going on in this world. Hopefully, we're finally on the downside of COVID. After getting another wave, the fourth wave, from what I understand, everything is coming down and people are getting vaccinated. I definitely got both my vaccinations back in Black History Month, and I've always been a proponent of the vaccine because I just want to get this thing over with. I don't want our people to have to suffer anymore. I don't want our children to have to suffer anymore. I want everything to get back to normal. That's why I took it upon myself to get my vaccine, and I encourage all others to get their vaccines too, and still closely follow all these COVID protocols that we have in place. Man, if our world is ever going to get back on track, we need to get this COVID thing under control. So from the angry black man to the rest of the world, please get vaccinated. Let's get back to business. Let's heal our world, everybody. Please, people, let's heal our world and get back to business and build back better. I see where a lot of people are trying to go with the electric cars and everything, and that's very, very positive. Of course, there's always going to be pushback in any new thing that we try to do. But people, we have to leave everything in God's hands. We have to persevere through our own lives and have to give it that godly chance. Believe in Him. He'll make it better. Amen. Back to why you haven't seen me for a while. Man, after going through a tragic 2020 with all the division about the election and everything, Trump with the big lie that he still continues to push. He still has states recounting their votes. I mean, can't this man just get over it? He lost the election. Biden is president. 78% of Republicans still believe that Biden is not the legitimate president. People, come on, man. There's got to be some kind of common sense that comes in somewhere that lets us know that Donald Trump, and don't get me wrong, at one point, I admired the man. I mean, who couldn't admire a man that increased or has amassed as much wealth and fortune as he has? TV shows, The Apprentice, you've got to give him some kind of credit for the things he has done. But the mistrust, the division, the platform for hate, the confusion and disillusionment that this man is still about cannot be accepted, man. We need Republicans to step up to the plate and do what they need to do to let this man be in the past. If they want to let him come back in 2024 and continue to mess up our world, so be it. But in the meantime, man, we've got to get that man off the top shelf, put him down in the dustbin where he should be, and just go on about healing our world. Man, there's been some great revelations about Facebook that just came out. Now, I've never had Facebook. I'm not a proponent of Facebook. I think there are good things about Facebook, as being able to keep up with family, share baby photos, share kid photos. Everything that Facebook was intended for is a very good thing. But the algorithms that allow negative content to go back to our children, our preteens, our teenagers, our young adults and adults that form political positions based on the algorithms that lead what they want to hear to them. I mean, if you get everything that you want to hear all the time, of course you're going to buck the system. That's what the deal was with Trump. When you don't have people telling you what you want to hear, you replace them and put people around you that tell you what you want to hear all the time. That's the roots and the seeds of authoritarianism. That's what Trump has done. That was Hitler has done in the past. That's what Erdogan has done with Turkey. They tried to do it over in the other country, Lukashenko, and Ukraine. They're doing it in Belarus. Duterte in the Philippines, he's finally stepping down after all this rule. We cannot have dictatorships and authoritarianism take place in our society. We've got to reject that as wholeheartedly as we can. So there's my little views on what's going on today. Oh, let me get back to why I have been off for so long. Like I was saying, after getting past all that Trump and all that political 2020, around Thanksgiving, actually a little bit before Thanksgiving, it was apparent that me and my wife's marriage was on its last legs. She started treating me distant. A lot of things were going on that just wasn't right. She could not sleep. It was apparent that somebody had got her attention. So literally on Thanksgiving, I moved with my sister over in Columbus to give her a little space to get her head clear, which is probably the worst thing that I could have done. Because literally when I left for Thanksgiving, the little problem that started getting her attention started making weekly trips up here to Huber Heights, staying at hotels and rendezvousing with my wife, having conversations with my wife, changing my wife's view on the world. Man, my wife has never wanted for nothing, man. We've always had the nicest cars, the nicest homes. We have never lived in an apartment. We have never been in a bug-infested place. We have never wanted for money, food, was able to take vacations when we wanted to. I literally let her be in charge of the children, be in charge of the house. She made a lot of the decisions. She had it made. She had it made here. So after she started making these rendezvous with this person, of course I didn't know the person till December 23rd. December 23rd, it turned out to be a 30-year family friend that, shall we say, remain nameless. 30-year family friend that knew her when she was a kid, that known our families, actually used to compliment me over the top about how he admired our life and, you know, how he respected us and how I had his utmost respect. He was literally been through various times in his life where I guess things weren't always kosher, but he had got himself up to being an elder in the church and also an ex-Marine, a retired ex-Marine. So, I mean, I gave him his props for putting his life on the line for our country. And he gave me my props for raising a proper family, you know, doing things right, and taking care of things as a man should. Christmas Eve, apparently this man had talked enough mental stuff into my wife's head to where my wife left me on Christmas Eve. Can you believe that? My wife literally walked out on me on Christmas Eve. And this could be a Steve Harvey strawberry letter here. She literally packed up our house, got the U-Haul, drove out on Christmas Eve, and left me and, at that time, my 19-year-old daughter here, while she and my 12-year-old son went to be with this man. You know, unbeknownst to me at this time, before Christmas Eve, they had been taking trips to the beach, looking for a house near the beach, or Charlotte, North Carolina, Florida, various places, Myrtle Beach, Greensboro, North Carolina. They literally looked everywhere for a home away from here because they was going to start a new life without me and without his family, because he was married also. So I was married. He was an elder, a married elder in the church. Nice wife, a couple kids himself. And the lure of being with my wife apparently carried so much weight that he divorced his marriage. My wife, I've never seen, some of the things she was saying was just unimaginable. I'm talking about, she's saying that I trapped her in our marriage. We was married for 13 years. She's saying I trapped her in our marriage, treated her bad, when I just told you I let her have her way every which way. I don't think no man on earth would allow her to have as much reign as she did. But by the end, this guy mentally screwed her before he physically screwed her. I have never seen that in my life, man, to the point where she was convinced that I was a rapist. I've been raping her our whole 13 years of marriage and our whole 20 years of knowing each other. I've just been a manipulator. I've been the one on the bad path and doing bad things to her. Can you believe that? Walked out on me on Christmas Eve, blamed me from being deceived by this elder in the church. I didn't mention that he's a 400-pound man. I mean, black, ugly. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. But there was no attraction there whatsoever. 400-pound, black, ugly man. Only thing he had, I had a crush on her when she was 11 years old and I was 13. So 30 years later, they threw away both of their marriages and actually tried to take down the church. Here's the crazy thing. My wife's father was the pastor of the church. So when it got to the point where this relationship became known, the church said, hey, man, y'all can't do this. I mean, you just can't do this. You can't ruin your marriage. You can't ruin his marriage. And y'all can't be married. So what the guy does, he lashes out and tries to bring down the church. He literally called the National Bishop Society and told them about this man's past ills 30 years ago and was trying to have him taken out of the church. So my marriage, his marriage, blow up the church, and they still, to this day, it is October, just for reference, we're in October right now, so for the last 10 months, they have blamed everybody else for their illicit affair other than them. So instead of moving to the beach where they wanted to, they literally moved back to our hometown and they live in isolation. Now here's the Steve Harvey part. When she left here December 23rd to leave, down in southern Ohio, apparently there was a snowstorm that was going on. So by the time she left here and got to southern Ohio, she literally got stranded trying to get to this house where they was going to have, start their life. The U-Haul literally did not get up the hill. There was so much snow and kept sliding back down. So they left the van and the U-Haul there. That was the first time that he abandoned them. He went to get help that night, but never did return. So I guess 2 days later, they literally made it up to the house on the hill, unloaded their stuff, and of course, a couple days later was New Year's. The very first call I got after New Year's, in fact, it's about 15 seconds after midnight, was from them. He wasn't there again. Apparently, he had abandoned them a second time. So Christmas Day, he abandoned them. New Year's Day, he abandoned them. And not too long after that, something else happened to where he left and never did come back. So about January 10th, my ex-wife called up and said, hey, this ain't working out. I'm not going to spend all this money. Oh yeah, she took $8,000 out of our joint account too, just to make whatever they had work, even though he was talking about, oh, I get all this big money. I'm big money. She's going to leave your broke behind to come live with me. But they took $8,000 out of our joint account to start them. So I don't know. I mean, he has given her lie after lie after lie. Crazily enough, I go down there and help her load up this U-Haul, me and two of my sons, and brought her back to this house. So I let her, come back to the house because I just didn't want her to be in that bad situation. I don't know if she wanted us to work or not, but, after a 400-pound man takes your wife, then tells you stories about them, you don't want to get back with that wife or with that woman. Crazily enough, that was one of the things that she talked about when she got back here, about how, the sex wasn't that good at all. He really didn't have any equipment to be able to take care of the job. But the head game that he played on her was so strong that after several weeks of being back here, she literally wanted to come back into my bedroom downstairs. I said, nope, you're not coming back into this master bedroom. You get an air bed and you go upstairs and you sleep in one of the empty rooms up there. There was no way I was going to let her back in my bed after being with this man. So yeah, I let her come back here. She got up enough nerve to finally go back to work. And I'm not really sure what the thought was there. I just let her come back home because she had nowhere to go. About a week later, the guy started calling again. Oh, come back to me, come back to me. Then it was in her mind again that she was going to leave, but this time he was going to get the place down there. And once he got the place, she's going to come to it. It wasn't her get the place and have him come to it. It's he get the place, then have her come to it. So she stayed here during that time. And literally, you could not believe some of the conversations I've heard. Some of the names they called me, some of the accusations they put on us as a family. It was just tragic. I mean, you could not believe that this man had took my wife's mind like that, but he did. Long story short, man, they argued morning, noon, and night while she stayed here in this house. I mean, literally, he would call her before she went to work to make sure I didn't talk with her. He called at lunch to make sure she didn't talk to me on lunch so I couldn't mess with her head. And he literally called her right after work to keep his deceiving lies going to make sure I did not persuade her to come back to be my wife. That lasted several months. She finally moved out in the last of February. And March the 4th, we literally had a disillusionment where our marriage was no longer there. March the 17th, they got married. So it's all been kind of a blur for me. I had to get my mind back together. One of my spiritual advisors told me that one of the reasons why she left on Christmas Eve was the fact that my relationship with the Lord was going to get stronger than I could ever imagine. And was he exactly right? Oh my God, my relationship with the Lord has skyrocketed. He has led me to this point. He's given me the strength and the will to start back up again. As far as this solar thing, I'm quickly going to go through a review here in the next video. And then I'm going to give you a couple videos from out in the field of a couple other installations that I've been a part of. Because my position is still the same. I want to be able to create solar education schools in different communities around the United States. Teach our young children the benefits of clean energy. And try to approach it like that. Just like my hashtag, get real. Renewable energy at last. It's time. It's time, people. Climate change is hitting us in our face with knockout blows. Wildfires around the world, from Siberia to Australia to the Pacific Northwest. Hurricanes are just starting right offshore and coming right into the United States. I think we've had 3 so far this year. 2 of them hit Louisiana and 1 hit Texas, of where we don't have to watch the hurricane start off the coast of Africa and move all the way across the ocean. Our waters are so warm that they just form right in the Gulf and then hit land. The drought has Lake Mead down to a 30% level. I mean, can you believe that, man? I've been going to Lake Mead out by Vegas all my life. One of the most beautiful, pristine reservoirs in the world is only 30% full. America, people of the world, we've got to get this climate change thing in order. We've got to put it at the top of the page, the front of the book, in front of the engine, wherever the case may be. We've got to get on top of this because it is almost on top of us. And we cannot continue to make excuses. So like I said, Angry Black Man, we're back in effect, baby. Not only are we going to be doing lessons from here, but we're going to be back out in the field. Like I said, you haven't heard from me for a while because, unfortunately, I'm not married now. My wife left me for a 400-pound lie, a deceiver, who, since they've gotten married March 17th, she's called me up, says she's gotten choked to nearly unconsciousness. She's had her lips busted. She's had her nose busted. She lives terrified. We bought a new Buick right before we left, and I let her take that. I let her take that car and the payment. She left me a car, a truck, and my motorcycle, which is all I need, and this house. So I didn't turn out too bad. She didn't want no child support. She didn't want no spousal support. Like I said, she gave me the house and gave me 3 vehicles. So I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. It does hurt my heart to know that my now 13-year-old son is in an environment where from sun up to sundown you're playing a head game. But that's what she wanted. He follows her on the Buick app. On the Buick app. Every time she leaves the house and follows where she goes. And literally had the nerve to tell me lately that she has never had it so good in life. So she lives terrified. She gets beat up. Here's a good one. They literally tried to show me a video of her performing with some prostitutes in a hotel. So apparently the big 400-pound guy, he left that out, but he's a crackhead. He gets his money, he gets his monthly check, he gets crack, he gets a hotel room, he buys prostitutes, and he watches my ex-wife perform with the prostitutes. Man, are you kidding me, man? I mean, I am the angry black man before. So how the hell do you think I feel now? My marriage is broken up, man. He's turned my wife into an HO. My 13-year-old son, he's lost. But I'll give it one exception. My son literally called me 2 weeks ago and in his way made up with me. He said, Dad, we got to get past this. We got to have more communication. We got to get back to a better relationship. And since then, I've really had the incentive to get back what I was doing, to get back up here, be able to talk about the little things that I do, try to promote my solar schools, my nationwide solar schools, and get clean energy, renewable energy education into our young people to save all of our futures. So please, join me in this effort. Probably a lot of y'all are like me. I'm tired of being entertained. I'm tired of another TV show coming out. I'm tired of them creating another sport. I'm tired of them wanting to try the XFL again. This will be the third time. I mean, it's failed twice. I mean, all those millions of dollars, where did they go? We continue to waste millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars when we could put just a little bit of it to use to teach our children about a clean energy future. Electrification of our grid, and electrical car infrastructure. I even talked about that as far as ego. So I'm back on point. We're going to get this thing done. Yes, I'm still angry. I'm angry. I'm past the marriage, but all the things that are happening in the world right now, we're still being distracted from what we need to have our attention on. And I personally won't stand for it. So, I'm going to see you next video. Y'all continue to be blessed by God. Keep your faith. We're rounding the corner on this COVID. And let's get back together, people. Let's get back together. We cannot sit up and let an algorithm rip us totally apart. See you soon.